Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Espero que tuvieron un fin de semana muy bonito con su mamá. Era Día de las Madres, feliz Día de las Madres a todas las mamás y también los papás que son solteros, que también tienen que ser madre y padre para sus hijos. Y a todas las mamás de perritos, de plantas, de cualquier otra cosa, y también las madres espirituales. Gracias por su tiempo y por todo lo que hacen por sus familias. Hoy tenemos una muy especial invitada. Ella va a ser la persona que va a ser encargada de todos los eventos que vamos a hacer en Tennessee. Yo y mi esposo la conocimos en la aplicación TikTok. Am, TikTok tiene muchas personas que hemos conocido, muy, muy buenas personas. Obviamente, pues también hay personas malas, pero pues nos enfocamos en lo bueno, como dice la Biblia. Am, Ella es originalmente de California, pero vive en Tennessee y vamos a hacer unos eventos pronto. Ya al fin del mes, vamos a hacer un car show y un bike show. So, básicamente lo que eso es, van a poder mirar un montón de carros bien bonitos y motocicletas bien bonitas también. Las trocas también son bienvenidas. Ahí después le vamos a dar más detalles de eso, porque va a ser en el Bass Pro Shop, am, el Pyramid, ahí cuando estás cruzando a Memphis. Entonces, espero que podamos vernos ahí. Pero sí, le queríamos hacer unas cuantas preguntas para que puedan escucharla y yo voy a estar interpretando lo que ella dice porque ella no habla mucho español. Pero pues es que solo quería decirle, ella se llama Michaela, en unas redes sociales se llama Chaos Bound. Entonces, si miran el nombre Chaos o Chaos Bound, es ella. Um, so basically what I just said, because probably have no idea what I just said.
Bits and pieces, bits and pieces.
Um, so this is Chaos. Michaela. We met on TikTok. Both me and my husband met her on TikTok, and we just started doing box battles together on TikTok, and um that's how I met you. You got in one of Monarch's box battles, and so we just kind of grew our, friendship, and um, we finally met each other in person over there in Memphis. Me and my
Mhm.
husband, we give people rides sometimes because he has a taxi cab business, and we met right after we dropped someone off there in Memphis, and so then she came to visit us, and we had a lot more talking to do. Uh, just because, I mean, when you meet someone, you don't really know anything about them. So, um, you know, originally you're from California, correct?
Yep.
So yeah, she is honestly, she's one of like my favorite people on TikTok just because every time that I go into her lives or every time she's in our lives, she doesn't take onto the toxic side of TikTok, which is
Yeah.
very much appreciated because there's so many out there.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for her to not only join the Learning Idiom team, but also be part of 343 Ministries because we're in talks of having her being one of the ordained people that help us marry people around the United States. So that's TBA, Uh, but without further ado, I definitely wanted to start, the conversation with some questions just so that our audience kind of gets to know you. This is a question that we ask almost every single of or like almost every single one of our guests on Moving Mountains for You. We would ask it, and definitely on Learning with Faith in this one. And if life was a lesson, what would you say it's been teaching you using one word or phrase?
Yeah. Resilience. Resilience is a huge one. I have spent so much of my life going through uh, lots of things. And I was actually just having a conversation yesterday a lot about PTSD and awareness and the um, that sometimes the things that you go through make or break you, and some things that I've gone through may not be something that somebody else could ever go through, and vice versa. There are things that that I've met plenty of people, they've been able to go through and be resilient from, and grow from, that I think would have absolutely just tore me down as a person. So resilience is the biggest thing. But also, I think with that also comes being self-aware, and being aware that we're all human. We're all trying to do our best. And somebody might be having a really horrible day. And you never know what somebody else is going through. So not just being self-aware, but being aware that there are other people around you. They're all living their own lives. They're all going through their own things, and just to have a little bit of compassion and kindness.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's like definitely something that I could tell. I like to believe that I have a pretty good judge of character when I meet someone. And I can tell when someone's has the right intentions. You know, there's different people that are out there, that we could have partnered with, but did I choose those people? No, and honestly, it's not just me. Like I did definitely wanted to shout out the Board of Learning Idiom because even though we don't talk all the time because we're all so busy. That's funny that you say resilience because one of the board members actually chose the same question or the same word. It reminds me. So shout out to our piñata making cancer nurse, Eva. She also chose resilience as her word, and so I'm definitely. I think right now she's in recovery because she had a surgery, but yeah, I'm excited that you get to be part of not only learning idiom but also the publishing part. So for anybody that doesn't know, Learning Idiom partners with the first bilingual publishing company in the state of Arkansas. Previously, we were known as Authors R Us, and we had to basically revamp it and just kind of the same thing with what we did with the podcast. We had to um, just find new logos and find new names just because they weren't working out. And honestly, also because we did become ordained ministers and we kind of went in a different direction. And so we felt like we needed to have a ministry more type of name because book publishing in itself is a ministry. We're asking people to write their stories. We're asking people to write their feelings when they're poets. So it is a form even of therapy. There's so many therapists that they ask and they tell you, hey, do you have a journal? And so that's why we renamed it 343 Ministries. And it's no longer Authors Are Us, but once upon a time, yeah, it was Authors Are Us. But yeah, I'm glad that we got to connect with you and meet you, and I'm looking forward to the many events that we're going to have in the future, which we'll mention in the end. But the second question I wanted to ask is, why did you decide to learn and work with the nonprofit world?
Yeah. So I think just my mindset about, a lot of like being resilient and being self-aware was really a big reason why I chose to work in the nonprofit world. I just feel really purpose driven, especially like I said, as someone who's gone through so many different things and has a lot of experience with like PTSD and trauma. I feel like there's so much out there, and I I wanted to kind of like help out more, and I just really feel in my heart that I have so much to give, and that's why I was so drawn to the nonprofit world. I have so much to give, and I've done so much work on myself, and I've learned so much over the years, and I continue to learn more and more each day. That's my goal in life, is to learn something new every single day. Um, and I feel like the best place to do that is in the nonprofit world, and being able to take what I learn and then give it to other people, and give back. And so, for me, that's really something that's very important.
I think that's really like admirable because a lot of people don't really go into the nonprofit space mainly because they think that one, you're not making any money. Two, you're not really going to be able to have something to give your family because again, it is donation based or grant based, you know? And so, and to those people, I want to challenge you and tell you when you have a limited liability company and work for a nonprofit, everything you do is tax right. Like you can write that off in taxes. Like it's the reason why, you know, Donald Trump didn't pay very much in taxes. It's not necessarily that he didn't pay very much in taxes, that his accountant knew what he was doing. And so the amount of donations that he gives is why he doesn't pay very much in taxes.
It's
And
also so important too to just know that it's not about that. Like it's such a huge aspect in it in the nonprofit world is if you're going to get into the nonprofit, you have to have a heart. You have to have a heart to serve, you know, and I think if you don't, then you're not in it for the right reasons. Um, you know, I mean, y yes, there is there is donations, there are grants. But at the end of the day, it's about the people that you're serving and the people that you're helping. And if you're not willing to do that, then it's not the right space.
oh
Uh,
yeah, 100% because like whenever I started, I in my head, I just honestly didn't I wanted to share my culture. And that's
yeah.
the reason why I started the nonprofit. I was one of the co-founding members. And so basically learning idiom came to be because of a bunch of Latina women that wanted to not only share their culture but share their language. You know, we live in the United States. Most of us, yeah, most of you know, now all of us, yeah, do. But some started even whenever they weren't in the States yet. So we just wanted to share our culture. And that's why the team that I started with was so different parts of the Spanish world. So like Central America, South America, you know, so like it wasn't just one type of Spanish. And so we wanted to start and we wanted to share our culture because a lot of people, especially now in today's world, people judge so fast and they don't necessarily and they hate on something they don't know. And that was our mission. And that's why learning idioms mission is to break language barriers and culture barriers by perfecting people's English and Spanish because we also not only teach the language, but we get to incorporate our culture in a lot of the events that we do. You know, like the upcoming car show that we're going to do. A lot of Latino people, they love their cars. Like,
It's
and
very true. Yeah.
so, and I mean bikes too, you know. So, I'm excited for, you know, just to see an idiom. I chose idiom is because it's a form of expression. I'm an artist. My bachelor's is a bachelor's of arts, and so I'm a very artistic type of person. And so, I did name the nonprofit, and I'm very glad that I chose that because I truly believe that we're all a form of expression. And so learning that type of expression, learning that type of culture is something that I definitely wanted to put in the forefront. Um, so what career do you see yourself in when you retire?
Ooh, I love this question. Honestly, long term, I don't really see myself stepping away from like nonprofit work. I don't see myself stepping away from work pretty much ever. I think that regardless of where I'm at, like I said, I really just I have such a heart to serve. And so in my head and in my heart, I think that work is just like it's just something where you know it's just gonna keep going for me, to be honest. I really just want to stay involved. Like ultimately, I mean, it would be really nice to retire one day and to step away a little bit. But I love being involved in things, and I love, especially when it's something that I'm passionate about. The things I'm passionate about, the things that I care so deeply for, are things that I don't think I ever really want to step away from fully. Um, so in some way, I will always be a part of it. My business included, the nonprofits included, all of it. I think it's just something I'm gonna want to stick around for, for the rest of
I'm
my
excited
life. And
for that too.
yeah.
Elaborate a little bit about your businesses that you do have already.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I mean, we have the C Corp, Chaos Collective. There's so much happening with Chaos Collective. One of the biggest things is that I, manage and do a lot of merchandise for a whole bunch of content creators, which I really love. It's a huge passion of mine. Um, And plus, I mean, I love the graphic designing behind it. And it was kind of one of those gray areas in social media where um, I would I would pop into a TikTok live every single day, and I would hear at least five content creators talk about how I want to have merch, but I just don't know how to do it, or I want to have merch, but I don't want to deal with the back end of it, or I don't want to do any of that. And I was like, well, I'm really good at that stuff. It's what I've done my whole life. I've helped other businesses grow. I did that in like my actual professional career outside of my business, where that was kind of what my family did. We would walk into businesses that were struggling or maybe not going to make it. We would help flip those businesses and make them profitable again, and help out. And so in that, I was able to learn a lot about how to run the back end of businesses, and that really helped me here. Like I said, I saw that gray area and I saw that need. And any good business person will always tell you if you find a need and you're the first one to see it, then that need is gonna you're just gonna skyrocket in your business.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's something that definitely was a reason why I even talked to Monarch about adding you to the team because you're the first person when we started Feral Activity Podcast this year. Nobody ever really asked for anything. They wanted to be on it. They never really asked for like, oh, how can we help you kind of questions.
yeah,
And so you're the first one, and I was like, hey, what does she do? Like, what does she do for a living? And told me a little bit, but he didn't really tell me everything, and so I didn't even
yeah,
know. And so then whenever he told me, and then I met with you, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like a
yeah,
really, excuse my language, but about a badass bitch, like in our corporation or in our organization, because um feral activity is something that we created, and that's why because I'm mentioning it, I did cut.
yeah,
So even though I have so much education, I'm in the educational world all the time, and so my brain is automatically just turned off to the cussing side of things, but it's a form of expression. It really is. And a lot of
it
people
is.
actually, and statistically proven, the people who do cuss, they're actually more honest. So that's a
Yeah.
statistic. So FYI for anybody that's like, cookie cutter type of person, that is not me or my husband. Like it's so
Yeah.
we definitely like to be real. We like to be honest. We like to just not only that, we like to give grace to people because we ourselves need that grace. And
Yeah.
so that's definitely something that whenever we invited you to the Feral Activity podcast, just as a guest, first I got to know more about you there, and then, with your whole, bike talk thing, and so it was very, very refreshing to not only, have you say, oh, you're wanting to do the merch for us, like that's one less thing that I got to do because I do like one cup and that's about it.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Oh, we could do all of these things." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool." Because like you said, a lot of creators they want merch, they want t-shirts, they want hats, and we actually have underwear, boxers, and stuff. So because Feral Activity for if you're listening and you haven't checked out our other podcast that we produce, it's called Feral Activity Podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Castbox, Amazon Music, YouTube. It's an interactive podcast that we produce on TikTok. Um, we don't really stream it to everywhere else just because honestly, because there's some feral people that say some like unhinged things, and me and my husband, we just like to hold space for people, honestly. And so a lot of people that have been judged, for their profession or their previous profession or even their lifestyle, we wanted to hold space for them and actually like kind of do like a day in the life of that person, and so that's the reason why we created, Feral Activity Podcast. And so is to cater to that part of the world that people are probably like misunderstood and so highly judged. And so we're
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
so we wanted to hold space for them. So thank you for definitely being a guest on there.
Of course.
But yeah, like you were saying, I think it's amazing that, like you said, you saw the need and you acted on that. And so that initiation is something that a lot of people don't have, and that's definitely a quality of a leader. So, how do you deal with stress in life?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh my goodness. So many different ways. I My biggest thing is over time I've just learned that I have to take a step back. When I get really stressed out and there's a lot of stuff happening, which I mean everybody goes through. I just take a step back. I take a step back and give myself a little bit of grace. That's the biggest one. Giving grace to yourself, giving grace to others is huge. And I feel like we just don't do it enough. So honestly, my biggest thing is like I will take a day. I'll take a day. I will lay in bed if I have to. I will order myself some food. I'll draw myself a bath, whatever it is that I have to do or that I'm feeling like I need to do. That's what I do. And I just take the time, I decompress. A lot of times for me that kind of ends up looking something like me laying in bed watching like some of my favorite movies because they're my comfort movies and I will DoorDash all three meals if I have to. It doesn't matter to me. And then I'm typically taking a bath and I'm listening to music. And sometimes that looks like me rage cleaning my apartment. It just depends. It depends on how stressed out I am. But yeah, honestly, having a lot of grace that going for drives, going for rides, especially, I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but especially at night, there's something so calming about being out at like 11 or, midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody on the road. It's just you, it's the music you're listening to, and you're just clearing your head. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with it.
I think that's honestly I can relate to that so much just because and I'll just say it. I mean, I have a little bit of OCD. And so whenever you said that rage, cleaning part,
Rage
I was
cleaning.
like, oh, that's me. Okay, so no joke. One time, so for anybody that doesn't know, uh, Cricket pays me currently, and so I work part-time with them, and so I was just really, really upset one day, and I came home, did not say a word to my husband or my son, just started cleaning the whole house. And it's not like cleaning like regular cleaning. It's like, the
Oh
white
yeah.
cleaning where you're just, just cleaning everything. And so when you said that, I was like, oh wow. But yeah, I'm super whenever you said that, I was like, I can definitely relate to that. My
Oh
son
yeah.
I have noticed also has OCD a little bit. And so because whenever he was small, he would line up the water bottles and then if I would move one, he would flip out.
Yep.
We have the community director of Arkansas here just lurking over me. Yes, Mr. Stutz. He doesn't like for me to call him that. Oh, speaking of which, today, the modern day Noah, my husband, is going to be performing at Birdie. So if you're in Little Rock, definitely come check it out. It's at 8 p.m. Central Time. Um, I'll try to go live on TikTok, but if not, then, do you want to say anything, baby? You're so close to the computer, you'll pick it up.
Found the bike I want. Moto,
Oh
Na-
my goodness.
Moto Nation has a 650 RR for 12 grand.
Oh, that number hurt my heart.
Oh, man.
2,500 down would get me like 180 a month.
That's not bad.
You know what? Okay, so I definitely want to give a shout out to our business partner, Weddings by Weston. Um,
That's no problem.
we're scheduled to do a lot of weddings with him, and so definitely wanted to take a moment to just definitely shout out and he's also going to be an upcoming guest to Learning with Faith. Him and his wife are going to get to share their 20 plus years being in the wedding industry. So do not miss on that episode because it's going to be a lot that's going to be shared. Um, so how do you cultivate your relationships both in the workplace and personal?
Oh, yeah. These are great questions. I was not raised with a great relationship, familial wise. There's a lot that kind of, I don't want to say lacked, but communication was not great. Consistency wasn't great either. Um, so for me, those were my two biggest ones, consistency and communication. I am someone who, when I'm in you know, a relationship, both romantically or professionally, whatever the circumstances may be, I will over communicate just because I feel like it's so important. And I would rather over communicate than under communicate. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, especially as someone who, you know, does suffer from PTSD and does have a lot of like traumas and triggers and things like that. Sometimes that's really difficult to do, but it's something that I work on all the time. My other thing is consistency, showing up. You know, I think that's huge. It may not be the easiest thing in the world to do, and honestly, most days it's very difficult, especially when you're struggling through your own stuff. You know, like we talked about before in the last question, a lot of stress, right? When you're dealing with your own stress, it's very difficult to show up consistently, not only for yourself but for other people, and that's huge. Having someone that shows up constantly, not just professionally, but also in your personal relationships, it's really big. You know, showing up for people. It's not easy, but it's something that I try to do. Even when I'm struggling, I think that's when people need it the most, right? We never, like I said earlier, we never know what somebody else is going through. Um, I just had it happen the other day. Actually, I reached out to a friend I haven't spoken to in a very long time, not because this person and I had a falling out or anything of that sort, just because we're both incredibly busy people. And I happen to know he has been someone who's been struggling for a very long time, and I have been as well. Um, and I just reached out, and all I had to say was, "Hey, sorry, been thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay." And that person responded back and was like, "Thank you so much. I didn't even know that I needed to hear that today, but I did." And so little things like that are things that mean the most. And sometimes that really could be the difference between saving somebody's life or not saving their life. And I think about that all the time. I still talk to people that I may have had a falling out with, you know, a decade ago, and there's still people that I think about, and when I think about them, there's a reason why I'm thinking about it. I think that's a huge thing. I always say that there's a reason why that person is in your heart, right? There's a reason why that person's in your heart and in your head that day. There's something happening. You know, and whether, you know, I mean, I know you guys obviously believe in God, but for the listeners, if you do or if you don't, I believe that there's a reason why that was put into your heart for that day, and that person is someone you gotta check on. So if you ever get that feeling, you need to check on somebody. Just do it. Just send them a message, let them know that you're thinking about them, and just show up.
Yeah, I think that's really important because a lot of people don't take that step, like, oh, they thought about it, but they don't act on their thoughts, or they don't,
Yeah.
and especially when it's a thought like that, because there's a lot of thoughts that people don't need to be acting on.
Yeah.
But when it's like, I think, it's good that you mentioned that because, a lot of people like, I don't consider myself religious, but I do consider myself spiritual.
Mhm.
If you could classify me in a religion, it would be Christianity, and that's why we attend a non-denominational church. But I was raised Christian. My dad's a little bit more of a Messianic Jew, because he does practice a little bit of Judaism, kind of like a mix of Christianity and Judaism. So there's just a lot of things that a lot of people don't really realize, even if you don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
That other person that you're thinking about is a human. They're a person. Like, they have feelings. They exist for a reason. And so having the compassion that, a lot of people don't have is very rare to find nowadays, because nowadays we live in such a busy life,
Mhm.
because of the economy, because of so and so. Like, there's always going to be an excuse to not, act on those types of situations. And so that's definitely very commendable that you know when you do have to act, and so, and it comes with time too, honestly. It really does. A lot of the times, I remember when I was younger, I would think about things, but I would never do anything with those thoughts. Even this nonprofit, it took me 7 years for me to like step out and actually do it. We're, in our fifth year, and it's just exploding. And I'm very, very glad that I took that first step, because at the end of the day, I'm creating a legacy for my son. Maybe you're creating that legacy in another, in a corporation, or, you're building somebody else's vision and somebody else's dream, and you're okay with that. Like, but if you're not, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I know when we had our conversation, you talked to me about, the nonprofit that you want to start and everything. And so that's another reason also why I wanted to add you to the team so you can get that kind of knowledge of what the nonprofit world is like and how you pay your bills.
Yes. Yeah.
The nonprofit. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like if you don't have grant money, if you don't have, you have to live off of donations. And being a preacher's kid, I mean, I've been in a nonprofit situation all my life. Like people chose my parents to be their leaders. I didn't have anything to do with that, but I did have a different type of a upbringing because of that. Um, and so I think it's very important for everyone to have something of themselves, maybe, you're very proud of that 10-year, medal or, plaque that they usually give every employee, and you want to continue supporting that mission. And it's like I always tell, entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
That's very
And
true.
so I definitely don't always like push people to be an entrepreneur, but if you are,
Yeah.
let's connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if you're not, and you're wanting to be a sponsor, you're wanting to be a volunteer, you're wanting to be an intern. There's so many ways that you can also be part of something, and I'm part of our bilingual community, because we do cater to a lot of immigrants. We cater to a lot of Spanish speakers, not just here in the States. Like learning idiom, because it is a virtual vocational academy. I've contacted people in Mexico so many times. I've contacted people in Peru and different parts of the world. Honestly, it's because it's virtual. It's literally like anyone in the world that has access to, internet. I had one of the interviews that I did, I donated to an organization that was they went to Kenya, and they went to go you know, hand out medical supplies. So like there's so much that you can do when you actually take that step. And so if you're interested in any of the services that we actually do offer, because we do have, book publishing. If you don't know how to use social media or make money through social media, let me know. We definitely have those trainings. If you don't know how to be a virtual assistant or want to be a virtual assistant and you want to work from home, there's so many opportunities that a lot of people don't know. And so I always like to say, why should I close the door when someone opened it for me? And so that's something that like I always try to keep in mind, because as a one of the few Spanish speaking business owners here in Arkansas, I always like to say I'm a big fish in a little pond, but uh if I was in Texas or Florida, I would be like a little fish in a big pond. So I like to stay here in Arkansas for now. We always keep people, updated on where we're moving, just because like you said, most nonprofits, they always have that servant mentality. And another thing that I saw on you too was you have a very good like student mentality. Some people do not. Honestly, they're too prideful. They're too, in their own lane, that they're not open to even learning anything.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, I think that we like it blows my mind that we hit a certain age and we lose our wonder, right? We lose like that part of us that is constantly questioning things. And I'm not sure if maybe it's like the ADHD talking or what it is. But I'm always a student. I'm always going to be a student. There's so much to learn. And that's in any topic, right? Like maybe that's why I guess I never really fit into like that small box that everybody tries so hard to put people in, right? It doesn't work for me. Like if you look at my resume, right, I've worked for so many different companies, and it's not because I don't have a work ethic. It's because I learned something and I'm like, this is great, this is wonderful, I love it. Like for instance, I've worked for a hot air balloon company. There's not many people who get to say that they've done that. um, I've walked into like Michelin star restaurants before and have been a person who sold cheese. Like there's so many things that are just they're so
queso.
fun.
That's the word of this episode. Queso. Queso is
Go, yeah.
cheese for anybody that doesn't know. So anytime that you go to a restaurant, what do they call it? Queso.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect word for the episode. Yeah, but I mean, just over time, I think it's one of those things. I've always kind of found the oddball things to do because there's so much to learn in it. I mean, I've also been in the medical field for, a decade. And so it's so funny because I was, again, just having this conversation. The medical field is always evolving. You are always a student in that field. There's never going to be a time. You may be, a published author. You may have like created your own procedure, the whole nine yards. You're still going to be a student. There's still going to be cases every single day that you have to learn and adapt. And I think that that is exactly what entrepreneurship is. It's constantly being a student. It's constant, like, you might be a master at what you do, but I guarantee there is going to be someone who knows more than you do about whatever the situation is or whatever you're trying to learn about. And the more you connect, the more learn from those people, the better off your business is going to be, the better off you're going to be as a person. Because nobody likes it when somebody walks in a room and says, I know everything. I've got it, guys. Don't worry. I already know all the answers to the question. Nobody liked that kid even growing up in school. Promise. I guarantee your teacher definitely didn't like you. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Well, I
I
mean,
think,
when it comes to that too, like whenever you're not, you think you know it all and everything, you have kind of like a barrier to in your mind where,
yeah,
okay, well, I already know it, so why do I got to do it? So then it turns
exactly.
into being lazy. Then it turns into like, then you're mad because maybe you really wanted to learn it, but you didn't want to like appear needy or appear like,
Yeah.
there's so many instances where that, fear of failure or fear of success kind of gets in the way of a lot of people. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I think that's definitely something that a lot of people, I myself had it. Like I had fear of success. And I honestly, because I have so much, I've studied, I have my bachelor's in journalism. And so this is literally what I learned. I learned how to, you asked about, I don't know if it's the ADHD or whatever the question. Basically, I learned how to professionally ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And so,
Uh,
yeah.
It's so funny that you said that there's a fear of success. I think that this is the difference between maybe my thought process and other people's thought processes. So many people are afraid of success. I am afraid of complacency. I am so terrified of being complacent in my life in any aspect. Relationships, my personal relationships, my professional relationships, I'm so afraid of being complacent in them and just being like, oh, okay, well, it's okay. I would rather be like, nope, I am gonna go conquer the world if I have to. Obviously not, but if that's what it takes, um, then that's exactly what it is. And I think that was my biggest mindset shift was I went from being afraid of success to being afraid of complacency. And honestly, if I could offer any advice to anybody, it would be that. It would be find what makes you fear being complacent in your own life, because that is what will continue to drive your success even when you're having the hardest of days and you're so stressed out and you just want to give up. That right there, that mentality is what's going to keep you going.
Well, that is definitely a good way to end the episode. Definitely wanted to, just share, a little bit about her, ask her a couple questions. I'm not going to interpret all this in Spanish. That's what, learning English is. Come on, guys. Come on.
You got it.
And so you'll get there eventually. I definitely wanted to, tell all the people, the language learners that, they're shy about asking a question. Take advantage of the teachers that are actually teaching you. I was one where I used to be so shy about asking any question, and then my sister told me one time, and she kind of opened my eyes. She's like, if you're getting bad grades, it's your own fault because you're not asking questions. And so
Yep.
like I remember, and I take like, my sister's advice really, really like to heart because after that is when I started asking a lot more questions. And then once upon a time I was on the dean's list because, but no, honestly, it's because of, me actually caring about my education, caring about it enough to want to grow. And so if you're one of our interns, if you're one of our students, definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you want to be a student, definitely let us know. Even though it's cut off, we have a QR code, but I'll put it in the description how to contact us and to connect with us. And honestly, the easiest way to connect with us is just to follow our pages, message us. We have so much, we're literally on every single social media that you can think of that are the most popular, TikTok, Instagram. We're even on LinkedIn, believe it or not. And so if you Learning Idiom does have a page on LinkedIn. So just because we wanted to have the professional side of social media, because everyone knows LinkedIn is where all of the legit companies are on, So we are a legitimate, 501(c)(3). So if you're looking to be a sponsor, if you're looking to be a vendor at one of our events, we have an upcoming car show we're going to have in Memphis at the Bass Pro Pyramid. It's going to be at the 30th of this month of May, so the last Saturday of this month. Registration starts at 8 a.m. and it's going to end at 10 a.m. And then, after that, we're going to have the actual show. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have trophies. I'm super excited because all of our past car shows, we haven't had trophies. So this will be the first one. And so I'm definitely excited. My husband can tell you a little bit more about that, but he's gonna have he already has his categories that he's ready for.
I
So
love it.
he's the car person, and you're the and car person, I guess. So I'm
There you
glad
go.
that we have you because the other two community directors of the other states still are not. They've been to car shows, but they're not car people. So
Oh my goodness. No, I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, and then of course we're gonna have our gala October 24th and 25th here in Little Rock, Arkansas. The location is being confirmed this month, and so I'm definitely excited for that. And so just keep up with what we're doing, and if you have any questions, if you live in Memphis or close to Memphis, definitely reach out to us. Chaos here will definitely lead you to the right direction. We also have all of the pages ready on Facebook. So if you just type in Learning Idiom Tennessee, you'll be able to contact her directly. And so thank you so much for your time and for everything that you're doing. And give any shout outs of people that have helped you realize all of this. Definitely wanted to give you a moment to give your shout outs to your people.
Yeah. Oh man, you hit me with like a really hard question right there at the end. I'm just kidding. The hardest question of the entire episode. No, honestly, I'm beyond thankful. Just honestly for everybody that's been in my life. They've all taught me something. Whether that person be a positive influence, or a negative one. There's always something that I could get out of it. So, at the end of the day, I mean, I think that everybody that I've crossed paths with has been a learning lesson. So, I'm beyond grateful for that.
Awesome. Well, take care, everyone. God bless and peace be with you.